Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our episode of a podcast. And we are at Speak Resort Munyonyo, and we are in for the Safe Motherhood. And today I have I don't know how to say this, but they are important ladies. They are ladies who are trying to bring and create change as mothers, as leaders, as representatives in the different communities. And I'll give this chance to let them say a word and introduce themselves. Yes, please.
Okay. Good afternoon. Josephine Lavoy. I work with Planned Parenthood Federation.
Nice to meet you, and you're most welcome. Yes, please.
Thank you. My name's Dr. Rachel Veajera, and I'm the Acting Assistant Commissioner, Adolescent and School Health, Ministry of Health.
As I said, and as you've heard, they're important, they're representatives, they're our leaders. And today we are heading straight. These questions that have been coming in, the things that we have been asking as youths. Today we have the people in charge, the people who make these laws, people who make these policies. And my first question will go to Dr. Rachel. Why are we having the stagnant or increasing number of teenage pregnancies in our country?
I wouldn't say they're actually increasing.
Mm.
Maybe whichever we want to look at it, but indeed the numbers are not going down. The adolescents are getting pregnant, and
Yes.
we all know that. And during COVID times, it became worse. So when you ask me why is it so, I think we need to go back to the drawing board and look at who is letting the adolescents down. Maybe we'll put it that way. It all starts from the household, goes down to the community, goes up to the community, then it goes up until the national level. So let us look at ourselves. Who are the key stakeholders? Who is actually supposed to guide these adolescents? We've all gone through the adolescent stage. So we now need to know who actually guided us. Was it the parents? Was it, was it the whole village? Because we Africans, we talk about the whole village raising a child. And who is the whole village? We're looking at different um, stakeholders there, the religious leaders, the opinion leaders in our settings, the teachers at school, our fellow peers, our fellow extended family members. And then you come up, of course, to the policymakers. So why is it so? We need to ask ourselves, is the information actually going to these young people? Are we actually passing on the right information? Because it all starts with information.
Very
If
true.
they're ignorant, if they do not know what to do, then there's no way we are going to curb or lower the number of teenage pregnancies in this country. So going back to the drawing board, parents have a role to play. They are not passing on the right information. Parents are actually shunning away from talking to their children. I'll give an example of during our COVID times, you had the parents cry out to the government saying, we want our kids in school. They don't even come back home early. They're always out in the cities, in the towns. We parents have actually let our children down. Then now I've talked about the issue of information because it's the parent who will give information, it's the teacher who will give information, it's the policy maker and all that. So I now go to the issue of the environment. Do these children have a conducive environment to actually get either the information or even the services that they need? So those are maybe the things that we really need to think around. Maybe I'll give a chance to Josephine now to say something, but those are the things we need to think around as we go on with the conversation.
Thank you so much, Dr. Miss Josephine. As she has mentioned something about COVID-19 and our parents not really engaging into talking about sexual reproductive health and rights, they shy away. But then the generation, the Gen Zs, who are really getting pregnant, have access to bonds, those who are in urban centers. And then those ones who are in rural areas are being forced into these activities because they need to provide for their families. They need to extend a helping hand to their young ones. But then you, as Dr. Josephine, what is your say to your parents, to the parents out there? Because I believe you can best explain to them. And the government itself, they don't allow, we have a limited access to students, and talking about these issues, we preach more of abstinence, which is very main key, and it's very good. But then these are the same kids who are very sexually active and still heading with such acts. So what is your say on that?
Thank you very much. I'll begin with the home environment.
Yeah.
And just like you reference back to COVID-19 and what it actually told us and showed us that the parents were not doing enough parenting at home, and they prefer the schools to be open so that the children can be in school. But also we realized that during COVID-19, uh, the pregnancy actually increased. So meaning that home was not safe.
Yes.
So is a school safer than homes? We don't know. But we want to create an environment where parents create that safe space, that open environment where they can easily talk with their young people. And how do we do this? I know over and again, we've talked about parents are busy. Of course, we are all busy looking for either to how to take the kids to school, how to fend for them, how to feed them, how to clothe them. But would we rather provide all those things and lose them? I believe it's a no. So the parents must strike a balance and know that they must create that environment. Just find a time, a space in your family. We all know how we run our different families as parents.
Sure.
Find that space where you create that openness, because if you're on the other side of the spectrum and the child is on this side of the spectrum, you're just going to be, yes, your parent and their child. And that's what it is. And there's no that bridge. And as a parent, we have a role to create that bridge to open up so that the children or the young adolescents and young people are able to speak to us. We must be their friends. We must be their friends. The best time to do this is on, I know we don't all have dinner tables, but in whichever way we have dinners in our homes, that is a space to actually speak. It could even be a Sunday lunch. I know Uganda is big on Sunday lunches. How about creating that space to actually begin the conversation? Because if you can't find time, just find that one time, that one space where you can actually craft and be able to have a conversation with the young people within your home. It could be a Sunday lunch. It could be maybe breakfast before you go to church. Just that one time where you all be together. Because I won't say that everyone has dinner every day with their children. For those who have dinner every day with their children, that is a space. That's when you can converse about so many things. So as parents, we really need to say, yes, we are looking for the money, but it's not enough. We did not give birth to the children to go look for money and bring for them, to feed them and fend them. We must create that space and we must become their friends.
Thank you so much, Dr. Miss Josephine.
The second question you asked me
Yes.
was, just say it again. The second question, I think there was a follow-on question.
Yes, was a follow on, and it was, how can we bridge like this gap between you, and you've just collided both of them. You get what I'm trying to
Yes.
say?
Mm.
Like the gap between the parents and us.
Yeah, I think you alluded some question to the government, and I could say it's just all of us. Because I think when we point that it is so and so, it is so and so, then we're not going to get a solution. We all have different parts and portions that we play. So the government, or maybe the Ministry of Health, the gender, or youth, but they have their own pivotal roles that they use to guide us. But we all have a piece of how we should knit all this together to be able to have a very youthful population that's productive and contributes to the development of the country.
Thank you so much, Mr. Josephine. Dr. Rachel, as a mother, what's your say to the rest of the mothers out there who actually have their children and they have teenage pregnancies, but they were chased away because that is not allowed for them in their home, because this is a bad picture to the environment, but then these children are out there suffering. What are you advising as a mother and as a specialist, you're a doctor, to these mothers out there who are chasing away their young ones, 15-year-olds? They're telling them, go, Tukutade. What are you telling them?
I think it's a two-way. I wouldn't say let's only maybe talk to the parents. It's a two-way. We have to talk to both the parents and the children or the adolescents. If I had my child, my young girl gets pregnant, what would I do?
Yes.
I've either failed her or it's the other way around. But most times I've failed her because we have also those stubborn adolescents who will not listen to their parents. But I think continuous talking, we have to continuously speak and give the right information. Don't beat around the bush, give the right information. And besides, this same girl who's gotten pregnant may get pregnant again. So what are we going to do? We have to continuously speak to them, give them the right messaging. Then don't only stop at the household level. We also have religious leaders. They can instill actually a lot of norms, a lot of good values in in these children or these adolescents. So it's like I said earlier, it's the whole village actually talking or speaking. Even we, the policymakers, we shouldn't say, oh, it's the parents who have failed us. No, even us, we should give policies, put policies out there that actually work and make sure the policies are implemented. Then, as Josephine was speaking, I thought of something, the teachers. The school environments have also proven not to be safe. But we know our colleagues at education are doing a lot of work to make sure there's that, safe environment. And that's why there are guidelines and all these policies that have been put in schools. But everywhere is not safe. So all of us have a collective, kind of role to play.
My other question for you is we're in school, and we all know when we're in school and we go under this medical checkup, teenage pregnancy tests. They take place a lot in boarding schools at the beginning of every term, and then we find out this child is pregnant. They are expelled. That is already stigmatization. You're already making them feel depressed and all. Is it really right what the school authorities carry out every time they find a child pregnant?
Thank you very much again. And I would say, of course, getting a child who has been a girl who has been found pregnant at school and making it known to everyone that she's pregnant and she's been sent out of school is not right, because it creates a lot of stigma. And they may even fail to go back to education later, because that environment actually, by the time they leave, they realize that that environment is not for them. And yet we have the guidelines where we want the girls, when they get pregnant, they go back to school. But how do you go back to a school where they exposed you and put so much stigma? So I'm thinking that the guidelines need to be better. They need to be more respectful for even the young girls, and also guide the schools on how they can better manage that. And I think that can fall, it can fall, it should be the responsibility of the parent. So that by the time the parents are going, they're taking back their kids to boarding school. It's one of the requirements that maybe they should be able to have spoken to their child about the teenage pregnancy. Maybe they've gone and checked for the pregnancy. So they're able to capture it either so early and they speak to the young girls, as well as it also creates a platform at home to be able to actually start speaking about sexual and reproductive health. So we need to, I think, push that role to the parent, because I think doing it within the school setting, going to the infirmary, and I'm sorry, I think they call them health clinics. We used to call them infirmary when I was to school. So I don't know whether it's still the same, but saying today they're going to do pregnant tests for you at school. And if some girls are not sure, it can be very traumatizing and a bit disrespectful. So as much as the girls end up pregnant, many times we know it's not by choice. And many times some of them are not even aware. By the time the girl makes it to school and she's found pregnant, she's not aware. So putting her to humiliation is already, again, it's another layer of the of the fear, of the stigma, of that's that shame, putting yourself to shame. So I'm thinking that role, the ministry can think about how that role can be better managed before the girls are in school, so that either they can present it that to the, but not doing it in the school, because then it just creates who's pregnant. And like there's always just different groups in school and they're watching out. Oh, who's doing this? Who's doing this? And to create that stigma, it creates that fear. We must create that environment that is respectful. We must make sure that the girls respect other girls, the boys respect the girls as well, than just watching and waiting. Who's going to turn out pregnant? Whom are we going to shame? And that becomes, we know a girl who was, I think there was a story that ran in the newspaper where a girl was beaten on assembly. Can you imagine? You end up in school, you didn't know you are pregnant. They find you're pregnant, you get beaten, you are shamed, embarrassed in front of everyone. How much can you hold? How much can a young person hold back? So I think it's a responsibility of us and the ministry to guide us and also guide the parents. So we're really trying to bring the parents into the space. I think that's one of the things that they can put so that it's managed at that level and also creates a space for conversation around adolescent and sexual and reproductive health at the home level or at the community. Thank you.
Ministry of Education and Sports came out with guidelines on that. So the guidelines are actually there. And when the girls should even return to school, the guidance is there. We should be speaking about, are the guidelines actually implemented? Are they they're in place, but are they actually implemented? That's what we should be pushing for. They should actually get implemented. But actually, most of these schools are implementing them. They were originally not there, but they're now there. So that should be okay. But then another thing that Ministry of Health is trying to do is to have a standardized medical assessment form for every student, every learner as they are going back to school. And one of the tests we are looking at is a pregnancy test that for those that it's applicable to. And of course, once you have that pregnancy test and maybe you're positive, then it will give a chance to the parents to actually now know what to do before the child even goes to school with all these sorts of issues.
Maybe again to just add on to what Dr. Rachel has said, I think that gives the parent the power, is giving the parents, giving power back to the parents to be able to manage that. But also probably on that form, I don't know when the ministry is thinking through that form, it could have a few questions. Have you done this with your child? Have you talked about this? So there are trigger questions that can actually begin that conversation. And I believe this will come up when they're crafting all that. And yeah.
My final question being, now that we're coming to the end of the podcast, is as African parents, as an African setting, as Uganda, is teenage pregnancy the deathbed of any girl?
Pregnancy shouldn't be a deathbed of any girl. We've seen very many and some of our superiors who have actually had a pregnancy during the adolescent period, but they're now lawyers, they're now doctors, they're big people. So that shouldn't actually be, it shouldn't happen, but at the same time, it shouldn't be a deathbed. Really, we should be able to put back these girls into school. And we have these skills, the life skills tools that have come in place. The Minister of Education is working with gender to make sure that actually these tools are being implemented. So I think we're empowering the girls, really. The government is empowering the girls, and to me, it shouldn't be really a deathbed. Yeah.
Yeah, and my closing would be, you shouldn't even be asking that question, because we're here to actually try to end teenage pregnancy. So it shouldn't be a deathbed. You said it's not a deathbed. We have the guidelines on how, if a girl got pregnant, how she should can enroll back to and journey back to her education and finish. And so we need to continue that we need to continue in that path. But also for the girls that haven't gotten pregnant, we must be able to give them culturally sensitive information around sexual and reproductive health, so that we are not even able to talk about teenage pregnancy. So we need to make sure that we are giving the information, we're giving the products, and we just need to look at what are the different ways in a very, very friendly way, so that we're not even having that conversation, so that we don't need to end. We just need to make sure we don't even get there. So when you don't get there, then there's nothing to end, because we are not really getting it from the very before even it gets there. So of course we need to end, because we are 25% or 24%. But we need to create those conversations, give information, give services, do referrals, where girls can really, and also really create either clubs where girls can really talk and empower them and feel good about themselves, feel proud about who they are, about whom they can be. Yes, the girl child, who they can be, and including the male child, so that you're able to protect all our dreams as boys and as girls, and we build a productive Uganda.
Yeah. We need to empower them to. Yeah.
Is because most girls who get pregnant, they feel, in fact, with this generation, it's the end. You're pregnant, I can't be your friend. You're pregnant, I can't go to school with you. You're pregnant, my mama told me, don't talk to me. So it's like they lose out on everything they would hold on to. That's why I termed it as a deathbed. But Dr. Rachel, what is your last word to the public out there? One word you would want to share in regards, as a parent and doctor, something you want to tell all the youths and the parents out there. Yes.
Okay. Let's give information to our children. Let's empower our children. Once they're empowered, we shall no longer be talking about teenage pregnancies.
And one I want to add on to that, we want 1 billion young people to be able to recognize sexual and reproductive health as a tool or as a key factor that can shape their future. And if we work this collaborative, bring everyone on board, then we are able to rally 1 billion young people who can recognize that SRHR is a key factor that can shape their future. And that's BNN. So read more about BNN, and I really want, and maybe we'll come out and speak to Dr. Rachel about Billy Now, a movement for young people, where we want young people to recognize SRHR as a key factor that can either shape, or if you don't want to know about it, you end up where we are saying it's a deathbed. We don't want to go there. We have 1 billion young people rallying and believing in themselves. Thank you very much.
As you've heard from Miss Josephine, we are the young people, we are empowered. We can do whatever we want if we have the right information with the right people, because information is power. We are youths, we are young, we are energetic, and we believe we are resilient, and we are brave, we are bold, we are Billy now. And one thing I want to say and share out to everyone who has had this, any comments that you have, go down Salty Plus Media Hub on our Twitter, Instagram, and we shall share and we listen to each and everything. If you have a question from Dr. Rachel, just go down, write it down, share, comment, like, retweet, and let's make this an anthem that we don't want to see happen in the next generation, but we can bring to an end and have a better future. I remain Elizabeth, and we are still at Speak Resort Munyonyo.